Over the last 2 months, there's been a large increase in political violence, and you can see this particularly on the left. So there's been a lot of protests recently, particularly against ICE, and there was also the shooting of Charlie Kirk, and violence has skyrocketed. So we had the shooting in Dallas, where there was where there was a person shot into an ICE facility and ended up killing 2 detainees. And then you also see it with the other ICE protests, which are violent and actively obstructing ICE agents. And you also saw it with the one in Chicago, where there were shots fired at ICE agents. So there's been a large increase in violence, particularly from the left. And this UC Berkeley protest is another example. And so let's look at the footage. If you notice, there's a lot of police here. And why would the police be there if this was if this protest was peaceful? Now, these protests are largely used as intimidation tactics, and the left, and particularly Antifa, loves using intimidation tactics as it helps silence conservatives. And that was the main purpose of the person that ended up shooting Charlie Kirk. Their ultimate goal was to intimidate conservatives, and you've actually seen Republicans actually stand up more after Charlie Kirk's death. Even though they're still infighting, we've seen more people stand up, and that's one of the main reasons I restarted my channel, is because I wanted to stand up after Charlie Kirk's assassination, and conservatives actually need to continue to stand up, or else the left will win, as they'll continue to use intimidation tactics. And if we actually bow down to the intimidation, they will actually win and end up getting all their ideas through without any resistance. So we need, as Republicans, we need to stand up to the intimidation. Additionally, whenever there's police here, whenever there's usually police around, it's not a situation where things are peaceful. You can see this clearly with this protest. The police are having to push back all the protesters as they're trying to get at the people that from the TPUSA event. They're having to escort people, and that's basically intimidation. They're using intimidation tactics, and that's not good for political speech in this country, because political ideas, for democracy to actually work, you have to be free. You have to be able to freely express your ideas, because otherwise, democracy is just it's not actually a true democracy, because people are just hiding information, and you don't actually get the ideas to debate out there. And this intimidation tactic is actually anti-democratic. It's ruining the democratic process, because it's stopping. It's at least trying to stop Republicans and conservatives' beliefs from getting out into the world. And they're also, additionally, if you see what they're actually saying. If you see it there, they're saying "fuck you, fascist." They're not actually addressing any of the arguments conservatives make, and they're just calling They're just yelling epithets, and it's not actually helping the debate at all. When someone just continues to insult one side of the aisle, it's not actually debating the ideas. It's just attacking, and it's not helping in any reasonable debates. And that's not good for the democratic process either, because you need to actually debate the points for the Democratic Party for the democratic system to actually work. Yet we've lost that, and this is also at one of the major universities in California, UC Berkeley. It's considered one of the elite colleges in California. And with the fact that all the people here are clearly not actively reasoning throughout the arguments, and they're not actively trying to engage the arguments, shows that how much the education system has fallen, and how much the education system, and particularly California, has failed, because the fact that they're not actually engaging and they're just throwing epithets, it's not actually, it's helping conservatives prove their point. You also notice there's a lot of people with masks. Now, why would someone at a protest at a protest that was peaceful and for a just cause need to be wearing a mask? They wouldn't, because if it's peaceful, they wouldn't be under threat of violence, because conservatives are still in support of peaceful protests. So, so why are they using it? It's because they want to hide their identity, because they know they're not actually doing something that's positive. They're not doing something that's good. Additionally, if they were actually doing something that's good, they would actually want to stand up for it, and they would want to fight for it and be open and expressive about their ideas. Because we have a First Amendment. They can't be arrested for those ideas. So, if they were actually being reasonable and they weren't actually doing something that was morally bad and weren't doing something that was actually close to borderline illegal here, it's then they wouldn't actually need the masks. So that's just showing that they're not actually there for good purposes. See that right there? That guy just got in someone's face. Now that I would consider almost considered a form of violence, because first of all, whenever you get someone in their face, the instinctive reaction is to fight back. First of all, and that's mainly because it's through evolutionary psychology or whatever. It's because throughout evolution, we were originally designed as hunter-gatherers and everything like that. It wasn't until recently that we haven't been hunters and gatherers. And well, not recently, that was still pretty far away, but still, in our evolutionary chain, we were originally hunter-gatherers, and all like similar animals. And so, we need evolutionary, well, in the past, when we were hunter-gatherers, we're supposed to protect ourselves, and the main thing to do in those situations is to fight back. So, one of the main things when something gets up in your face, you want to fight back simply because the face, it's the most important part of the human body. It has the eyes, the ears, the mouth, the brain. It has a lot of the bodily functions that you need. Additionally, it has the neck, which is one of the least protected areas and the most vulnerable. So any head injury is bad. So getting up in your face really quickly, most people instinctively react against it. So if they're trying to use that, it's another form of intimidation. And it's another form of violence in a way. And they're also using it to try to provoke a reaction, because if you get in someone's face, they have a higher chance of responding with violence. So after that, they're trying to provoke a reaction, and if the provoking of the reaction is actually successful, then they'll try to blame the other person, the conservatives, blame conservatives that it was actually them that was at fault, and not the person that was trying to get up in their face and trying to intimidate them. That's another example of how the left is no longer actually inclusionary. Now, they used to be the party of inclusion. In fact, that's in one of their ultimate, like, one of the things that they're supporting, DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion. Yet, this clearly shows how they're excluding one side of the political spectrum in terms of, like, political thought. They're not for diversity of thought. They're clearly exclusionary. So first of all, that shows that they're actively being hypocrites. Second of all, if they're saying at this school, if you notice right here, these are members of this school. So, you also see how corrupted the education system is. Because if people that are students of this school actually believe that they need to exclude one half of the political thought in America, then the schools aren't actually teaching them American values. And they're not actually teaching them freedom and how our country was formed. And that's scary because the higher education scene, the higher education is seen as the elite of the elite in terms of education. Yet they're clearly showing indoctrination here with the fact that they're trying to exclude one side of the political aisle's political thought from the entire school. More epithets. Not actually engaging with the idea. If you heard what he said, go suck some billionaire dick. Who's the party that has more billionaires now? Who's the party of the rich? It's actually the Democrat Party. If you look at demographics, the richer part, it's actually the Republican Party that's now the party of the working class. We tend to have more people from rural, poorer areas, where now the Democrat Party is the party of the elites, the college elite, the wealthy. And you can clearly see that in where all the political donations are going. You see, Republicans always get less political donations from billionaires and from the wealthy, if you look at the numbers. So, who's the party of billionaires? It's actually the Democrats. They're the ones that are getting supported by the rich. It's not Republicans. Although there are members of the Republican Party that are rich, there are more members of the Democrat Party that are richer than Republicans. And then that guy right there is also an example of how the right is actually now the inclusive party, because he's saying Jesus loves you, and he was saying that to someone that was clearly on the political left, throwing epithets at them and clearly throwing insults at them. Yet they still accept people that are on the left as people, and they don't try to ostracize them. So that clearly shows that Republicans are actually the side that have been more inclusive compared to the instead of the Democrats, because they're the ones that are still being kind to the other side. We haven't gone through Republicans haven't gone and intimidated people just for speaking out their political ideas. So the Republican side is actually the side of inclusion and of actual inclusion, while now the Democrat side is the party of exclusion, and Republicans are now the side of free speech, and Democrats are now the side of authoritarianism. And that's shift has happened a while back, and it continues to be shown here in this protest.
T-shirt sucks. Look at Gibson. He's wearing a true classic tee.
Yeah, stupid ads. I hate ads.
This is Savannah Hernandez at UC Berkley at the TPUSA.
Oh, there's like tons of police there. Again, at the point I was saying earlier, the police wouldn't actually need to be there if this protest was peaceful. Because then, if this protest was peaceful, first of all, everyone behind the barriers would just stay behind the barriers. And the police wouldn't need to be there to separate the two groups. Additionally, why would there be such a large police presence without the threat of violence? You wouldn't need that many police. And even if it was peaceful and there was some police presence there, you wouldn't need, how many is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 7, no, 11. 11, and there's some behind her too. You wouldn't need that many police people in one small area if this wasn't violent. Oh, that's a lot of blood. Yeah. Now, I don't know who started the fight here, but I'm starting to think that it's going to be the other guy, because this is a lot of blood, and I didn't quite see. I don't see a lot of blood over there. Usually, the person that's beat up the most is usually the victim, and because the person that has first mover advantage, or the first one to throw a punch, tends to have advantage when in a fight, simply because they acted first, so they get in the first punch. So I think it's a strong chance the other guy was the one that started.
And as the Trump supporter was getting arrested, he stated that the Antifa member came and tried to steal his stuff, resulting in the altercation. Now that
Well, we don't know if that's actually true or not. But it does fit their MO. The MO of Antifa is to try to rile up the other side. I was talking about this earlier with they're trying to get in someone's face. They're getting in people's face, trying to get them to react. And that's the MO of Antifa, is trying to do something to get the other side to react and be violent first. And this time it worked. And it just fits their MO. Also, TPUSA has been advocating for no political violence. So I honestly believe that it's going to be the other side. But we don't have enough proof yet. So we'll have to wait and see eventually. But I believe that this person, the TPUSA a member, is most likely going to be the victim here.
fairly quickly at the beginning of the protest, and everything just developed since then. Now, this is actually the entrance to the TPUSA event tonight, and the attendee line actually stretched out this way, and it kind of stretched into this area so people could get into this conference center behind me. Now, what ended up happening is this huge swarm of protesters, many of which are trans members, some of them are furries, and of course, many Antifa members and Antifa-aligned groups, they all ended up swarming those attendees. Now, one of the Antifa members actually lit off a flare, smoke started going.
That's arson. He should be arrested. First of all, lighting anything within a public space where there's a lot of people is dangerous. First of all, it will cause panic. So people start to rush away from it, and it'll cause a stampede effect where people could possibly get run over. And you've seen this in many crowded places. In fact, it's quite common in Mecca due to the fact that there's so many people there. There's a high chance of stampede due to the fact that there's so many people there. And setting a fire like this can be actively dangerous for that. Second of all, lighting a fire in public space like this is considered arson. It is arson. They should be arrested. They've committed a crime. They should be arrested. Yet I bet they never do. Because, first of all, California, they're always super duper lax. And they never charge anyone with a crime. They very rarely do. So, this person probably just got away with it. And another thing here with this flare, look, there's all that smoke, so it's ruining visibility. So people can more easily trip, and also those gases, they might be toxic. I don't know, but they could harm people. It could be similar to like secondhand smoke. So, this right here is also the fact that it's smoke. It ruins visibility. So, that's another threat there. If it ruins visibility, then people can trip, they can fall. Another thing is that it also blinds the security members. So maybe someone that's dangerous could get through the lines through the lines protecting conservatives and the people at TPUSA. So the flare right there, he should be arrested. Because he's actively committing violence. And he's actively committing a crime. Arson. He should be arrested and go to jail. Yeah, I doubt he did. And he needs to be charged, though.
And then another protester drove past his vehicle. It started backfiring multiple times. It kind of sounded like gunshots. I could see the visible fear in the attendees' eyes, and they all started swarming into this area.
Now that's clear intimidation. Like I said, there was the famous incident, not famous, but the incident with Charlie Kirk. Gunshots. Now, conservatives are going to be afraid of gunshots at these types of events now because Charlie Kirk was just shot. And them making a sound that sounds like a gunshot, that's active intimidation. So whenever you hear a gunshot, your instinctive thing is to run away. As, you know, you don't want to be shot. So this is active intimidation. And you don't see this at other protests. You don't see it at the one in UK where there was 1 million people on the right protesting over there against immigration. You don't see it on the right. You don't see this type of intimidation, particularly against, you don't see any Republicans going out to protest someone speaking. You don't see that. You might see Republicans protesting a law, but you don't see someone going out to intimidate people that are just speaking ideas. And this is clear intimidation, and it's ruining our political system. Because you got to have the ability to talk, to be able to debate ideas for democracy to work. Yet this intimidation is ruining that. And it shouldn't, and this shouldn't be in our political discussion at all. Because it's actively ruining democracy here.
Now, please let them pass these barriers to, essentially protect them and help with their safety because the mob then quickly started descending on these barriers. Now, they have multiple times tried to break this area down and break these barriers.
Again, that's more proof that they're violent. Because if they were peaceful, then they wouldn't be trying to break down the barriers. They wouldn't be trying to get through. They would just be standing there. They would be kind. They wouldn't be violent. Yet they clearly are. So, this is another reason this protest is absolutely violent, and it should be condemned, and those people arrested, yet they never are.
And they have been chanting all night, calling attendees of this event fascists, Nazis, anti-Semites. They've been calling them every single name in the world.
Like that guy right there. If you look at, goes 5 seconds back. That guy got arrested. But the guy that just kicked that, they should be arrested. And the guy that's breaking down the barrier right there, again, arrested. They're being violent. They should be arrested. Similar to the people on January 6th that were breaking down the barrier. Those people should be arrested. This person should be arrested. Why aren't they? They should be. Go arrest them. Yet they never do. And I think that would actually solve 90% of the problems, is to just arrest these people that are actively violent. Yet it never happens. And I think Trump actually needs to be a lot stronger on this issue and actually arrest people, but he never does. And that's one of the things I'm disappointed with his presidency about. This just shows how morally corrupt the left is. If they're celebrating a death, the death of a prominent conservative member, the death of a father, a death of a husband, why? Why are they supporting this? This just shows how morally corrupt the left has become, particularly the Antifa and the extreme left. They have become absolutely morally corrupt. And we as Republicans, we need to fight against this. We need to speak out. Condemn those and actively speak out our ideas, or else we lose. If this intimidation actually works, we lose.
So that is the protest in attendance tonight. Those are the people inside. They even had people chanting, "F your homie is dead."
You can also tell it's organized here, because if you look at it, there's a lot of the same headbands. Let's go back. If you notice, same headband, same headband, same headband. You can clearly tell it's organized because they have the same headband throughout pretty much the entirety of the protest. You also saw the same headband earlier with different protesters. So, they're clearly organized, and we have to somehow find out who's funding this, and we should arrest them. Arrest the heads. Arrest the heads of the Antifa and the people that are violent here. Just arrest them. And I don't know how, but Trump needs to somehow infiltrate Antifa and find the funders. But in the meantime, we should arrest the people that are actively being violent and the ones that are active members of this organization, even at the smallest level. Because if you take out the smallest level, then people at the higher, then other members that might want to join Antifa, they won't. And we just need to take out and arrest all of Antifa. But start with the lowest members, the ones that are clearly visible. Yeah, we already see this. We've already seen that clip. Already seen that. Already seen that. Okay. If you notice this guy right here, I believe this was originally the guy that was like in the fight. But if you notice this guy right here, I don't believe he was the one in the fight. But if you look at him, he's smoking something and spitting, well, puffing it out at this guy. Now, I think that would be considered technically assault because, first of all, you don't actually know what that gas is. It could be something, what is it, toxic. Additionally, even if it's just like smoking or whatever, it's still secondhand smoke, and that can be damaging to someone's lungs. So, and that's why we have regulations against smoking in certain areas, particularly with like schools, so kids don't get secondhand smoke. So I think that's considered assault, but I'm not entirely sure. So that guy should be arrested because he's trying to like actively intimidate and mess with this guy. So he should be arrested. What language is that? I'm assuming it's Arabic. But why are they singing? Why are they saying something in a foreign language at an American protest? Again, that's the fact that they're saying that. They're actively showing that they're not wanting to engage in political ideas. Because if they're just chanting a foreign language the entire time, we can't understand what they're saying. We can't argue with them. So why? Why are they chanting that at an American protest? That's another thing. If you look at here, there's no American flags. You see a Palestine flag, you see a trans flag. You don't see any American flags. That just shows you how unpatriotic and how unpatriotic they are, and how they don't actually support America and they want to support America's downfall. Where if you look at this guy here, look, America. We support American. They support America. So they're actively, if you look at here, the shirt, it's America. It has American flag on it. So, would you rather, as an American citizen, would you rather take the side that's clearly supporting a foreign nation and identity stuff over someone that's supporting America first? No. The average American would not. I'll address that. ICE is not kidnapping people. They're legally arresting illegal immigrants. So that point is mute. At least that's one of the things that are actually like a reasonable talking point. They're not just throwing epithets. They're actually bringing up a reasonable point there. Even though it's not very reasonable, but they're actually bringing up a argument. And you haven't seen that throughout the protests so far. So, it's responded to it, and that's what Republicans should do. They should respond logically to their reasoning. They should respond to their reasoning. And there's no kidnapping currently going on. They're arresting legal immigrants. And back to the epithets. Right after I give them a small point of bringing up an argument, they just go directly to more epithets and just saying a slogan. That's so unorganized. Because they were just talking about ICE. Now that one person brings up trans for no apparent reason. This is just so unorganized. They're just throwing random things. They're not making any logical arguments.
First, I want to thank all of you all for coming out here. And I do want to pay attention to our comrade right here. They have a point. It is our job as students to be educators within the student movement.
Job as students to be educators. That's inherently opposed. Because they're trying to learn. That's the role of a student. It's not the student's job to educate anyone. They're supposed to learn. So the fact that they were arguing there is, that point right there is inherently wrong. Because they're students. They're not educators.
It is not enough to say fuck fascism when we don't tell why we need it.
Okay. Vandalism. Arrest him. It's vandalism. It's destruction of property. Arrest. Yet they don't. And additionally, if you look at them,
Students to be educators within the student movement. It is not enough to say fuck fascism when we don't tell why we need it.
oh, you see him? He had a mask. His face covered, and that's the exact reason why they have the mask on, so they can commit acts that are violent. It's just so they have. That's because they have the mask on, because then they don't get discovered. If they keep having their face mask on, they won't be discovered, and it's hard to arrest them because they'll just walk off and you don't see their face. So somehow they should have some sort of presence and arrest this person.
Okay, this is good.
Guys, that's exactly what they want. That's exactly what they want.
Ooh, and there's the fight.
This is why I did find other t-shirts for these ones. First off, Anna's t-shirts are hands down the best shirts I've ever had. They're not boxy, itchy.
Look, there's no blood on that first guy's face. First guy's face. You see, but then there's a whole bunch of blood on that guy's face. So that guy's clearly the one, most likely the one who started it. Now, I don't think I addressed the argument enough back here. Before the fight started. So, let's see.
It is our job as students to be educators within the student movement. It is not enough to say fuck fascism when we don't tell why we need it.
They say it's not enough to fuck fascism. I say fuck fascism. Again, I have a question here. Who is fascist? The one that's using active intimidation tactics to suppress speech, or the one that's using peaceful means to express speech and are actively against, again, look at the three principles here: freedom, free markets, limited government, all things that fascists oppose. So, TPUSA is inherently anti-fascist. So, they're just using ad hominem attacks. Yeah, I think the majority of this. Okay. Just the after fight seems. Yeah, it's a lot of blood. Yeah, so it seems to be about it for the major clips here. Oh, and that's the other guy. Surprisingly, he doesn't wear a mask this time. That's surprising. So he might actually he's actually slightly courageous, I guess. So it's a little bit different from Antifa MO, or like their pattern, but still, he was probably the one that agitated, because if you looked at him, let's go back. No blood. And yet the other guy got beat up. So, I think it's most likely this guy that started the fight. Because again, first mover advantage. Most likely, first one that moves is most likely going to be the one that's the more bloody. So, the first one that moves is the one that's going to be less likely to be bloody and be beat up versus the other guy. So I actually think this guy stopped. Now, this protest, as you've seen throughout the entire video, there's been clear violence from the left at this protest. And you see it at almost every other protest they do nowadays. You see clear violence. You saw it in LA. You see it here. You see it during the ICE protests. And they're actively trying to suppress speech from the other side. They're actively breaking laws. So, first of all, the one way to solve this, arrest everyone that's violent. Second of all, go after the organization. Go after the funding. See who's funding Antifa. And Trump promised to do that after Charlie Kirk's assassination when he designated Antifa as a terrorist organization. So, they need to go after whoever's funding this. But, and they need to, and at the start of it, even if they don't have the information of who's funding it, they need to arrest all the protesters that are being actively violent. And they need to put them in jail. And they just need to do that. And I'm slightly dislike Trump for not actually doing that. Because he needs to do that. Yet he doesn't. So, just the ultimate solution here, just arrest people. Arrest the people that are violent. Arrest the agitators. Arrest the people that are funding it. That's the ultimate solution to this problem. Is to just arrest.